Hey, welcome back, Andrew. Channel's calls for service. We're in the glass service. That's what we do. Right now we're gonna do a glass repair. We got a Jeep Wrangler, notorious for catching the rocks because it's so vertical. They just don't really want to deflect. So this actually has multiple chips in the windshield. We're gonna focus in on this little hairline here. And for those of you who don't know, this is a laminated glass. It's what allows us to repair it. And when you get a chip to the windshield, it's typically the outside layer glass. It doesn't actually penetrate into the interior of the vehicle, which is the other layer glass. And so think of this, if you've never had a chip repair done, this is like a nail in the tire. You get a nail in the tread, that can be patched. And so when we're gonna start this, we wanna clean the area around it. I've got rubber or nylon gloves on, so I'm gonna cover the outside or the chip, and I'm just gonna wipe around it. We're gonna keep any moisture out of that brake. We wanna make sure it's moisture free. We wanna repair it with that repair resin that we use. So it's actually a chemical repair. The repair resin is like a liquid glass. It's gonna actually inject and fill in the brake. So, I know it's really difficult to see. Just a little hairline. It's got an impact point here and two little, like a bow tie. It's got a little spot going this way and this way. And so this one had a lot of bug guts on it, so I'm going to drill out the brake just a little bit. Got a little Dremel tool here with a little bit. This is going to do a couple things for us. It's going to make sure we don't have anything impacted in there, you know, bug guts and stuff. And then it's going to open it up, of course, make it easier to fill. So we got that drilled out here. Now we've got our repair bridge. There are lots of different repair tools on the market. This one in particular comes from a company called Glass Technology. They're out of Durango, Colorado. That's actually where I learned to do the glass trade. So that's the one we're using. Got different, I know I'm going really fast. I hope you can keep up. I've got different viscosities of repair resin based on the temperature. It is pretty warm here in Central Texas. But what I'm doing right now is I've got this piston. We actually take the high viscosity resin to kind of lube it up a little bit, make sure it's going to move freely in our cylinder here, because this right here is our pressure valve. When we're doing the repair, we're actually put it under pressure, which is going to allow the repair resin to inject into the brake. And then we're going to have a release valve to let that pressure go to reset the cylinder so we can do suction. So we're going to suck air out and we're going to put pressure to repair our chip. We're going to cycle through those things. But right now, get our bridge set up here. Sometimes it's hard to discern whether or not your cylinder is over the brake, so you can use your probe tool to insert, and it's directly over our brake. So we'll remove that, tap down the suction, and then we're going to lower our cylinder down to where it's going to touch the glass and maybe like a half turn more. And then we're going to use our leveling screws here to level out the bridge. We don't want to put too much pressure. You are repairing a broken glass, so putting too much pressure, I don't know, might be a bad thing. I don't know. The temperature right now is probably in the upper 80s. So we have the medium viscosity repair resin from Glass Technology. Put probably like 5 or 6 drops in there. Probably wouldn't use quite that many because it's a smaller chip, but because our glass is so vertical, want to make sure the repair resin gets to the bottom of the cylinder where we're going to do the repair. And we're going to insert our piston here. We're going to go all the way down. We're going to close that valve and we're going to pull it back. Oop. Let me try that again. All the way down and pull it back. And now, right now, this is under suction. Looks like we're gonna have to move our situation here. Maybe not. He's just trying to get something out of the van. He's not actually leaving. So what right now it's doing is actually drawing air out of the brake. It's putting it under negative pressure. There's nothing going in, everything's coming out. So when we do release the pressure valve, it's gonna have a negative effect where it's gonna wanna suck that repair resin in there, and then we'll actually change that valve and readjust our cylinder to where it's actually injecting the brake. And the time frame on this is usually, you'll forgive me, I don't remember the exact time. It's like a minute or two, a minute under suction or 2 minutes under pressure, but you're cycling through that because you're going to work air out of that brake. And so we're going to go ahead and switch over. I guess before I do, I got ahead of myself a little bit. I've got a little inspection mirror. So I'm going to put some glass cleaner on there. help us see what we're doing a little bit better. You can see the brake from the inside out. So I'm going to go ahead and open that pressure valve, and I'm going to change it over, and we're going to start injecting the brake. And if you look really close on the brake, you can actually see that sucker start to fill in. It's really gradual, real subtle. I don't know how visible it is with the camera, but you can kind of see from different angles. You can start to see now the blacked out portion there. That's actually air in the brake. Yeah, it might be hard to see, but the blackness in that is the void, the air in the glass from the rock hitting the windshield. And that repair resin is going to fill. So you're going to see that blackness kind of fade away a little bit. It's going to fill into that resin. And we're going to cycle it here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this side release here, open up our pressure valve, and clamp it all the way down, and then pull up with it closed, and now it's going to draw. So just pulling air out of there. We want to get it all filled in before we cure it, and that's the final kind of step, or one of the final steps, is to cure that repair resin in the brake. That repair resin's done to chemically bond etch the glass. And it is a permanent process. Once you fill in a brake, there's no way to take that out and redo it. It's done. A lot of repairs, when I'm talking to customers, I will let them know the process and what we're doing. It does not make the damage disappear completely, simply because we're not removing the brake from the glass. We're just filling in and keeping it from getting worse. So it is always a compliment when you get a customer say, oh, it disappeared. Well, it doesn't actually disappear, because it does fill in. It makes it less noticeable, but removing it from the glass completely, it doesn't do that. The only way to really remove the chip from the glass is to replace the glass. We're not wanting to do that. This is just a simple repair. This is fixable or repairable damage. So when it's done, you're going to have kind of a transparent look of what was initially there, but it won't disappear completely. Some chips are more noticeable. If you are doing these repairs enough, you'll know when to advise a customer. You know, and I'll give you an example. If you've got a brake, something like this, okay, and it is, say, right here in the driver's view, what they refer to as kind of a critical area. If you got brakes in this area, that's when you want to be able to explain to a customer a little more in depth on what to expect, simply because really no matter what they're going to see, because that's that kind of critical area. When you get stuff that's behind the mirror or down over here off to the side, visually speaking, customer's not going to be as, it's not going to be as noticeable to them, but on stuff that's right here in this critical viewing area, it will. And now we've got some other brakes here that we're going to repair, but this one was the one that I thought would be visually more appealing in a video. So let's finish out this repair. We've kind of cycled it through. Probably left this under that one section a little bit longer, but we're going to make sure this fills all the way in, and then we're going to cure it with an ultraviolet light. Now this one's from GT Tools again. It's what the toolkit we bought. Dark Cure. That's a LED. LED light. This needs to be cleaned up just a little bit. This was a lot more intense than it just sitting in the sun, because you know, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. We used to do repairs and then pull it out and let it cure in the sun. It'll cure under ultraviolet light. You can do that. You pull it out. So it'll actually cure just with a cloud cover too, because it's UV light that filters through the clouds. But curing it with the lamp is way better. It's more intense. You're able to cure it under pressure, which is the best way, because you've got all these molecules tightly packed into that brake, the repair resin, and you're curing it. These tend to, in my opinion, come out a lot clearer or better looking repair when you've filled it in and you've cured it under pressure. I don't remember the exact time length. This will run for like 15 seconds, maybe longer, maybe it's 30 seconds, but running it, let's see, back up just a little bit. I'm gonna grab before we cure it out. I might have to do a little video editing. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Go ahead and set up our lamp to arm, from safe to arm. Put it on there, hit the button. It's gonna hit it with that UV light. It's gonna stay lit for, pretty sure it's 10 or 15 seconds. We'll move it to the opposite side of our repair bridge here. We'll hit it again on that side. Then we'll go ahead and pull that bridge off. And then we will cure it, go over it one more time after we've applied some pit filler to make sure that the spot that we drilled is flush. We don't want to leave any divots or imprints in the glass. It's a little more noticeable when you do that. So we want to make sure it comes out clear. And the last thing we're going to do is going to polish out the repair, the pit, make sure it looks good, and then we'll be done. Of course, as far as brakes go, they're all going to be a little different. This one's not a star brake, fully star brake, because you'd have it be like a star. And then it's not a bullseye, it's not a combination, it's just kind of a hairline almost. But pull that off, take one drop of this on the pit. This is a thicker repair resin for that pit, because of pit filler where we drilled into it. Go ahead and put that cure lamp on there one more time. We're going to separate our piston from our cylinder. And kind of wipe this down real quick before we put this back. Always use a new razor blade when you're cleaning up the glass. You don't want to put a used razor blade. You don't want to scratch the glass, so we'll have ourselves a new blade here. Pull that lamp off, pull our curing tab off, and we're going to do the nails on the chalkboard. Here we go. We're going to do 90-degree, not at an angle. We don't want to pull any of that material out of that spot that we prepared. Put a little repair or glass cleaner on there. And then last, I'm going to take our pit polish on the brake, just a little bit, just a pea-sized amount really. And then our cork from our adult beverage. And we're going to polish that out. And then we're going to clean the windshield. We've got several other repairs due here, so we're going to just clean this section here. And of course, if we were completing the repair, with this was all we're doing, we're going to make sure we write an invoice for the warranty, get all the customer information. If this was an insurance claim, we would have wanted to square away the insurance part of it first, calling the provider and making sure that they knew, hey, we have a policyholder here that's got a chip in the windshield. If that was the case, we'd have already done all that. But our repair is complete. We can explain the process to our customer. It's a permanent process. We let them know that, hey, you can wash it, you can drive it, you can turn your wiper blades on, you're not going to hurt anything. This is a permanent repair, so obviously if they have any trouble with this, they need to come back and see us. And so hope this was helpful. There's going to be obviously lots of different repairs, chips in the windshield repair, but this one was probably an easy one to do. And right now we're looking for it because we got a lot of little bug guts and things. Pretty sure that was it right there, but came out great. All right. That was great.